Yuki, a young boy, has a dream about meeting a girl he once met when he visited his father in elementary school. As he prepares breakfast, he wonders whether he would see her again. His mom arrives soon, and she wants him to live by himself as this would be a good opportunity to learn things. As she has to transfer overseas due to her job, she can't take him along, and he is asked to live in his father's house in Toyama as no one lives there. Yuki can live here without transferring schools. But hearing about his father's house makes him wonder whether he will be able to get to meet that girl from his dreams. He decides to move into his father's house in hopes to meet that girl once again. He arrives at the Toyama station, but has forgotten the direction of the bus station, as it's been so long since he last visited. Suddenly, a girl passes beside him, and she reminds him of that girl he dreams about. He tries talking to her, but he quickly realizes it might be someone else. Not making the conversation awkward, he simply asks for the directions, and she shows him the exact location before asking a question. Yuki was too nervous to hear it and instantly ran away without thinking. Back when Yuki first visited, he didn't quite get along with the kids here, and as a result, he had no one else to play with but himself. The girl saw him crying and gave him her handkerchief to make himself comfortable. After he arrives at his house, he can feel weird gazes but tries comforting himself that these all are just imaginations of his. The walls are dusty and the house is soaking wet. He can feel that someone is in the bathroom and decides to check it, much to his disdain. Just as he enters the bath, he finds a girl bathing who is talking to herself, and as the other sees him entering, she quickly approaches him to check up on him, with her stretching neck. Yuki is perplexed at seeing such a monster and quickly runs away. Yuki heads into his father's research room, where he finds the books mostly about yokais. He instantly realizes who the girl might have been and can hear even more voices coming from the ceilings now. He starts seeing weird eyes all over the place and then on himself before being approached by the girl from his childhood. He instantly recognizes her scent before passing away. As he wakes up, he finds himself in her lap and reassures himself that it was all just a dream. Yuki doesn't care whether she is a ghost or human. As long as he gets to live with her, that's all that matters for him. While he spectates her beauty, she writes, utilizing her yokai abilities. Yuki peeks into the kitchen and is amazed that she is still together with him. He is kind of relieved recalling their earlier interaction and wonders whether there is a reason why she is living here. Although it's too late for him to confront her, as he didn't ask this yesterday. She quickly senses that she is hiding outside and tells him that breakfast will be ready in due time. Yuki wants to take the opportunity to ask her about his childhood, but before he can even speak, her breasts distract him, and he nervously asks her about the washroom instead. He is forced to check out the washroom now and reassures himself that whatever transpired last night was just a bad dream. He wants to know why the walls are still dusty when the cleaning should have started from the other end, and as he opens the room, he finds a girl changing her clothes. Chaos soon spreads across the house, and the yokai rushes to see whether Yuki is doing all right. Sunao, the other yokai, tells Tamazusa to confront Yuki and reveal the truth before things get uglier, and she reveals that they are not humans, and that his father allowed them to live in his house. She expresses her gratitude that his father let us in when everyone shunned them out. Soon, the other two yokais also reveal themselves, and instead of hearing them out, Yuki runs off. They are disappointed because they finally thought they could cohabit with a human, and Tamazusa quickly goes after him. At the park, he recalls how made her first friend when no one was lending him an ear, and she promised to never forget him. Presently, Tamazusa finds him and tells him that she simply was hiding her identity because she was afraid her first friend would start hating on her. Yuki assures her that he never hated her, and he was simply overwhelmed by the other yokais revealing themselves out of the blue. She assures him that they all desire to live beside him, and before they could return, they are encountered by another yokai, who seems to have a tussle with Tamazusa. The girl Yuki met back then is still the same as ever, but he is still not used to living with the other girls. Just as he is about to change clothes, Rokuro enters his room and doesn't plan on leaving. To make her go away, he tells her that he wants to have time alone so he can put up new clothes, but the other doesn't seem to be budging off. Instead, she offers to help him in picking out his clothes, and he falls on top of her accidentally. Just as he looks down, he is fondling her breasts, and the other doesn't mind it and tells him he could do anything to her, but at night. Still, she tries teasing him even more, and Ren has to step in to stop her. Ren starts lecturing her and the other best not talk back. She apologizes to Yuki for scaring him the other day when he just moved in and reveals that it was how her teacher instructed her to greet humans, though she admits to being wrong. Yuki learns that there are different ways for them to approach humans and can only wonder what the wrong way would be. Ren wants to know whether he has decided to live together with them, but the other is still not sure if he should continue his life here. The main problem is living together with so many women at once, and he doesn't feel like he is up to spending his time constantly being overwhelmed by them. They don't see it as much of a problem and instruct him to come outside quickly, as Tamazusa might be worried about him. As he is about to enter the kitchen, he overhears Sunao being against living together with him. She believes that nothing comes from being together with humans and reminds them of the last tenant moved in, who went on to summon shamans and spirits to remove them. She doesn't believe that cohabitating with a human is possible, and Tamazusa stands up for Yuki, assuring her that he is nothing like others. Even the other girls believe in him. Just as she is about to exit the room, she is astounded that Yuki was outside, and he lies that he simply heard Tamazusa's voice and came here. She instructs him to have breakfast with them, and after gaining everyone's approval, he sits down with them. Tamazusa goes out to check who is knocking at the door, and she finds the girl from before, who is here to make her pay for whatever she did. After she doesn't get back after a few minutes, Yuki decides to check on her and finds her injured. The other reveals that she got rejected by her lover because of Tamazusa, and he can only think of her as an idiot for blaming it on someone else. She goes on to reveal that Tamazusa was the one to advise her to write a love letter for her crush, but instead, he poured out all her feelings into it, and it somehow became a 500 pages love letter. Due to the thickness, akin to a book, she was rejected, and none is to be blamed, but Tamazusa. Yuki doesn't care whether she was rejected or accepted, but uses the broom to protect Tamazusa. After ruining her plans, the other runs away, and he tells everyone that he will be living together with them. The following day, he heads to the new school, and just then, the girl approaches him to recruit him into the occult club before a fight breaks out. As he recently transferred in, Yuki has difficulty in finding his class and gets lost. Surprisingly, he stumbles upon his classroom and recalls how difficult it was to interact with others in his childhood, though he resolves to change things this time around. He is instantly startled by an energetic class fellow of his, Haruto Miyoshi, and he informs him that their class is crazy. He doesn't understand his point, but soon as they enter, he realizes that all the others are girls beside the two, from one hell to another. The entrance ceremony was just finished, and Yuki is already confused how he would make friends as he never got along with girls his age. Since he is feeling down, Haruto assures him that the two would go home together, and after talking to him for a bit, Yuki is already feeling a lot better. As the two get ready to walk home, Haruto asks whether he came to like one of their classmates, but it was a hell for Yuki to simply be in the same class as all the girls. He is not really cut out for having to look out for girls, and Tamazusa arrives to check how he is doing on his first day. Haruto is envious that he has such a beautiful sister and wants him to introduce him to her. After hearing that Yuki has made a friend, Tamazusa is amazed that he has someone to spend time with and decides to head home first, but Haruto stops her. As he has instantly fallen for her, he lies that they were planning on hanging out at their house, and Yuki can only imagine what would happen if he were to find out that they are all Yokais. He wants Tamazusa to come up with an excuse to fend him off, but is astonished that she wants him to visit as well. As they are approaching his residence, Yuki continues worrying about the forthcoming situation and tries repelling the other off by telling how the house is old and grumpy, not suitable enough to grace a guest such as him. The other isn't bothered by its condition and feels like it's just how every house is supposed to be. Even though everyone doesn't seem to be around, Yuki is still on high alert, and Haruto asks about his sister's name. He mishears him initially, but Yuki clears it off by telling him her name is Tamazusa. He wants to know whether she has a boyfriend or plans on getting one, and Yuki is astonished to find Ren sitting beside them. He starts lecturing her that she should at least make some sound, and she is amazed at how honest his friend is. The two are having a normal discussion, and he asks whether she is younger than Haruto. Ren absolutely clears herself that she is way older than Haruto, and reveals that she was born in the Meiji era. Yuki doesn't want her to reveal anything further, and tells Haruto that she is just a couple of years older than him. After Tamazusa gets back, he forcefully pushes them out so they don't annoy him again. Haruto wants to know the type of guys his sisters are into, and he can only just make things up to calm him down. Just as he breathes a sigh of relief, he overhears Roku and gets worried that the other might reveal her abilities before Haruto. He instantly closes the door, and Haruto gets a call from his mother. Even though he has to leave so soon, he tells them that he will come back again soon enough, and is thankful that Yuki became his friend. The other also enjoyed the company of a friend after so long, and Tamazusa could see how much fun he was having. Roku wanted to meet his friend, and just as he runs toward him, she trips and falls on top of him. Sunao sees the two and instantly throws a tantrum. Ren and Roku are instructed to clean the house, while Tamazusa gets ready to make dinner for them. Unfortunately, they have run out of supplies, and she gets ready to head out to buy food. Yuki stops her as feels there is enough rice for them, and decides to cook by himself. After he is finished making the dinner, they are amazed at how delicious his cooking is. After tasting Tamazusa's cooking, of course anything of slight upgrade would taste heavenly. Hearing their remarks, Yuki is taken aback as he thought Tama is the one who usually cooks for them. Sunao tells him that she only cooked for a few days because she was worried a guest was coming over and she didn't want to disappoint him. Since she does most of the chores as well, Yuki decides to take on the cooking duty as he loves it anyway. Seeing as he calls Tama his older sister, the other demands that he call them his big sisters as well since they are older than him. Yuki can't bring herself to do it as he feels Roku and Ren look younger than him. Tama informs him that they are born through the feelings of people and age doesn't affect them. The reason Tama speaks politely to everyone is because she is the youngest one of them, having been born in the Showa era. On the other hand, Ren was born in the Meiji era, making her older than Tama, while Roku is older than both of them, her era being the Edo one. Sunao is the oldest one of them, though she doesn't know which era was it. At least 1,000 years have passed since her birth. Regardless, it's not about eras, rather how he should be addressing them. Since they are all his big sisters, they decide to come up with just different wordings, and the three of them are satisfied. It's Sunao's turn, but she tells them that she doesn't care, though they can see that she obviously wants to be addressed respectfully as well. They come up with a name for her as well, and she looks embarrassed. Yuki heads off to his school like usual, but Tama worries that he might come across bad guys there. Ren tells her that worrying needlessly won't do anything, and they should rather pray for his safe return. Tama wishes she could attend the same school as him, and out comes Roku, with a girl's uniform of their school. As Tama is envious, she has another uniform for her, and the two can attend the same school as Yuki. Due to her huge breasts, Tama is having difficulty wearing it, and Roku helps her with it. Ren tells them that meddling needlessly might result in terrible consequences, but they don't care about it. Yuki is attending the class when he hears Roku's voice, and after seeing her stretched head outside the window, he is shocked. He quickly instructs her to bow her head, but she doesn't hear him. Yuki is glad that his teacher didn't notice, but as he turns around, the worst has happened. His classmates manage to have a glimpse of her head and begin a commotion. Roku and Tama quickly hide now that they have caused trouble, and after everything seems to be okay, they decide to head inside the school. Now that everyone is outside of the class, the two sneak in and meet up with Yuki, who asks why the two are there. They have to hide as trespassers are being suspected, and he takes them to a room where they explain that they were simply worried about him. Yuki instructs them to head back, and just as he is taking them to the exit, Tama stops, revealing that someone is calling her, and she must go. Yuki is worried that something is wrong with her, and Roku informs that it's her simply in her Yokai mode, a state when they awaken their Yokai abilities, though she just came up with the term. As she is a love Yokai, she shouldn't pose any danger to anyone, but just roaming around the school is dangerous for her. Meanwhile, a young student has made some cookies for her crush, and her friends encourage her. Suddenly, Tama sneaks behind her to further encourage her to express her solitary feelings for her lover. The two get tired looking for her and hope nothing bad has happened to her. Just as they look down, they find her helping other students, and she apologizes after she realizes her own mistake. They assure her that she shouldn't worry about anything. After all, she is a love Yokai, and supporting those in love is what defines her existence. Tama assures him that she will support him wholeheartedly if he were to find love, but Yuki doesn't feel too happy about this. As he is trying to hide them from others, Haruto sees them and he advises him on how he can get them outside. He thanks Haruto after they are gone, and he reveals that he was partly being selfish as well. After all, he likes Tama. Even though she doesn't notice him too much, he still has a chance to make her fall for him, and Yuki is impressed with his dedication. Haruto and Yuki stumble upon the occult club, and Makoto lures the former into joining the club. Yuki recognizes the spiritualist from back then and wants to sneak out, but Haruto stops him and he faces off against Makoto. Since they are at school and she wants to take advantage of the opportunity, she tells him that they should call for a truce for the time being, and Yuki would be better at joining the club instead. She doesn't seem to be a bad person, as the fault lies with Tama as well. He still asks her not to annoy Tama for the time being, though the other doesn't hear him as she is too happy about someone finally joining her small club, one who will go haywire over any other girl, while the other being too introverted to turn her down. After the school, she wants to take them somewhere, and Haruto asks what she means by her spirit's research. Instead of explaining properly, she just tells him that they are examining any area that is mysterious. As they arrive at an ancient shrine, Yuki could feel the creeps as he already has experience with it. But Haruto seems ignorant. Tama spots him along with Makoto and can only pray for his wellness for the time being. Just as they enter the shrine, a mysterious figure could be seen stalking them. As they clearly have no plans of fighting the Yokais, Yuki once again asks whether they are going to do something in case something does pop up. But the other is just passionate about seeing them. As they are about to head inside, someone has played a prank on them by wetting the doorknob, and now they want to head inside through another door. On the other hand, Tama wants to do something to make them repel, but worries that she will only drag Yuki into danger if she were to be spotted by Makoto. After failing to find any other entrance, the three split off to find clues, and Tama decides to seize the opportunity and tell Yuki to get away from the shrine. After meeting him, Yuki is warned about dangerous Yokais living at the shrine, but before they could discuss more, they suddenly hear a scream. The two rush to check out on Makoto, and it's just her, scared by a mere spider web. Even though she appears to be fine, Tama still checks up on her to make sure she is feeling good, and Haruto appears from another side as well. Unaware of who is helping her, Makoto thanks the other, but just as she opens her eyes to see Tama, she is instantly shocked. If it was up to her, she would rather have a fight with her at some place else, as she never imagined her to be lingering around the shrine. Suddenly, an eerie presence greets them, and Makoto is tangled up in weird bushes. Tama quickly instructs the other two to get back, as the Yokai seems dangerous. Yuki wants to save her, but Tama instructs him to fall back, as they are unaware of what kind of Yokai she is. The Yokai wants to learn much about the garments she is wearing, and as she can't take them, she decides to rip them apart. After revealing her breasts, it starts licking on them, and the others can only gaze at the sight. After having a lick or two, the Yokai doesn't want to tickle her more, as her body has no dirt. Tama tries to argue with her to let go of Makoto, but the other is hungry, and she won't leave her food by any means, especially if it has come to her hands by their own will. She is planning on skinning her alive before savoring her flesh, and Tama wants Akanami to take her instead of Makoto. Haruto quickly stands up to offer himself, but he is more excited about a pretty girl licking his body, even if it means his death. Much to his disdain, the other is only into girls. As they have to undo the seal to take her to their place and have her eat delicious food, they want to come up with a strategy, though Akanami warns them that she may run wild after being let loose. Yuki has done quite some research on yokais, and he seems to have an idea on undoing the seal, though he would need Makoto released for that. After she directs them to a hokora, a tiny shrine, Makoto succeeds and her power returns. She assures them that she was just boasting, so they could save her and wants to have a place now. Since she prefers living in dirtier places, Tama offers her to live in their bathroom, and it's pretty good for her, as it's far better than a cleaner place. Haruto has a suggestion, and she is taken to his grandma's sentu, where she is even hired as a part-timer. Tama and Yuki meet up with Makoto there, as they have all come to check up on Akanami, and she thanks Tama for her help back at the shrine. Just as they enter, Akanami jumps in excitement and wants to lick on Makoto's body once more. While they are fighting, Haruto takes out his phone to record the new world opened up to him. After a long night's sleep, Yuki wakes up to find his head drowned in Tama's breasts. He instantly gets away, and she wakes up due to the noise. She reveals that she originally intended to wake him up, but fell asleep instead, and apologizes for it. I mean, how could she wake him up when it was the weekend, and his sleepy head only made her feel asleep? Yuki tells her that she shouldn't wake up too early and take the duty of waking everyone up upon herself, but she assures him that she doesn't mind doing a little for them, especially when he cooks for everyone. Just then, smoke appears, and Tama informs him that Ren and Sunao took it upon themselves to cook for him, since it was the weekend. He quickly heads to the kitchen and finds them burning whatever they are cooking. Roku has to teach them correctly, and they assure everyone that breakfast will be ready in no time. Yuki is surprised that a fire didn't break out, and Roku tells them that they have no experience because of another Yokai who lives with them. She hasn't met Yuki yet, and so now informs them that she wanted to learn more about humans, so she decided to attend school. Her uniform was quite similar to that of Yuki's school, and they believe that the two of them go to the same school. Meanwhile, a young girl is bored at the school, as it is the weekend, and is awaiting the classes passionately. As he is about to head to the school, Yuki can only think about the in their school, and Ren warns him that the Yokai who he wants to meet gets angry really easily. Even though it was a warning, it just made Yuki even more interested in finding her. While he is goofing off, Tonami approaches him to collect the homework, and he suspects that she might be a Yokai too, but quickly clears his head. Haruto arrives, and he feels that he is into Tonami. They are instructed to get out of the class as the girls are changing their clothes, and Yuki accidentally sees one. Outside, they are approached by the Yokai, who teases him before entering the class. Haruto informs him that it was Karasuma Sora, who is always asleep in her class, and couldn't be found afterwards. Meanwhile, Ren informs her that Yuki is interested in knowing her, and the other can only think of pulling some pranks on him. Ren is annoyed that she is always thinking about irritating others, and Roku calms her down while Tama assures her that she is not a bad girl, so she won't really be much harsh on Yuki.